It's that we're live. Yes, we're live now, hopefully. Show's preparing. Hi, hello, hi. It's been a long time since I did a live stream and even posted a YouTube video. Ooh. Yeah, so I know we are live right now. It's been a very long time since I did any session at all. So today my goal is for us to learn, learn stuff, right? And build stuff. And I keep saying that this is one of the best times to be a software engineer or get into software development. And I'm going to justify my reasons for saying that. Hopefully, I'm able to justify that. But I feel that it's more exciting now than ever to be into this field, building stuff as either a software engineer, software developer, or someone who is just curious about how to build stuff. And the thing is that it used to be very hard, like very, very hard. You know, those times that people were learning languages like assembly to build stuff. It was so hard for them, like very difficult. Maybe they might have enjoyed it, but now if you ask anybody to use assembly to code anything, man, it feels like punishment. Unless those who are really enjoying coding assembly in assembly already, or maybe your job demands it. Like it's very difficult. And those of you who have been in ALS before would attest to the fact that C programming, hey, beat the shit out of a lot of people. so so you can trust that these things were really difficult, right? And very relatively easy languages to understand started popping up. Like you take Python and you say, oh, Python is relatively easy. Oh, JavaScript is relatively easy. I mean, that's why I'm using the word relative, right? So even though you still see some of these things as difficult, if you compare them to the previous languages that we used, these are relatively easier. So now we are getting to a point in time where a new concept that is coming up is known as software composing. So people are going to be composing software instead of probably engineering software. And when they explain this, how we explain it is that instead of you really sitting down to hard code things, you now talk to an intelligent agent that does the coding on your behalf. So, for instance, see how you have a client who comes to you and detects their requirement, and you, the software engineer, build the thing for them, right? It's like we are going towards that point in time where you, the software engineer, actually you're also going to be leveraging some other tools. And instead of hard coding everything from your head, you're actually going to be giving directions and telling the tool what to do. And eventually you get this. And I know it's scary for a lot of us. I've had conversations about these things. And I thought myself, it's scary, but then it's good because there are things that a junior developer couldn't do in, say, if it was 10 years ago. But now, with the power of AI, such a developer should be able to do these things, right? So I don't see why you should feel so threatened that you do nothing about these things. These are like opportunities that we should take advantage of instead of sitting and worrying about them. So for me, I feel that it is high time we start playing with these things, getting comfortable with them, getting to know them in and out, and being like the best person when it comes to using these tools. So if I have a tool that can make me more productive and I know how to use it best, then I'm going to use it to produce a lot more, right? Instead of sitting somewhere and say, hey, no, this tool is making me lazy. This tool, I'm becoming too dependent on it and all. And the example I give to explain this is if you take these two tools, say the editors that we use, if I give you VI and VS Code, and I know if I do a poll right now, majority of you on this stream will choose VS Code over VI. Should we try? Should we try
VS
the
Code the
poll?
way, VS Code all the way, VS Code the way. Ah, VI.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, so Joseph Amuno is joining on the YouTube stream. Hi, Joseph. It's been a while. Yeah, I know. Like, and the question I am asking is why VS Code? There are people who up to now think that you should use VI and don't use VS Code because VS Code simplifies a lot of things for you. Like you are using IntelliSense in VS Code, you have a lot of plugins or extensions in VS Code that is simplifying your life, that is making you lazy. You are not thinking. They are auto suggesting things for you, auto completing things for you, and you think it's not good, right? I mean, ideally, if somebody was just starting off and they wanted to learn a syntax that they do not know, it makes sense for them to force themselves to learn this stuff. But after you know these things and you're building your own stuff, yeah, you begin building projects. Does it still make sense to say, hey, I want everything to come from my head? For that reason, I'm not going to use VS Code. And VS Code has become more of industry standard now, where we all use it, like whether you like it or not. And a lot of other IDEs and test editors, code editors are now looking more like VS Code. Like they have similar functionalities. So in essence, all of these IntelliSense that we are getting, the link tests that we are getting, the formatting extensions that we are getting, that is helping our lives, you know, it's making us feel comfortable enough using these tools, and we feel that we are more productive when we are using them as compared to when we are using those other, let me not say anything bad about these tools, but then they have their role, right? Like the terminal based editors, they are not too fancy. They don't do auto completion for you and all. But a lot of the people are leaning towards these new editors. So very soon we are going to get to the point where the more intelligent editors are what a lot of software engineers rely on, right? And nobody is going to be complaining. But what is more important is if you are now getting involved in this field or you're already in there, it's high time for you to start leveraging them, becoming so good at them, such that instead of complaining of over reliance, you become the guy that is able to shape like the most product because you're using these tools, right? So that is the reason why we are here today. And I know by now, okay, let me not make any assumptions, but essentially, let me get my writing pad and probably share my screen. That's one thing I enjoy doing. Then let's see if I can write down things. What just happened? Wait, the Zoom just changed my. Oh, am I the one who is? I felt like the color of my screen has changed. Share my screen. See, VS Code is beginner friendly. Yeah. But the interesting thing is that even a lot of the experts out there use VS Code. The question is why? Why are they not all using VI and Emacs? I know we all like to fight the VI and Emacs battle on X, but when you look critically, most of these people are using VS Code and other text editors to code. And let's go to a Scali draw. Hopefully, a Scali draw. It's been a while since I came to this platform. Share my screen. So hope you can see the right screen. This is, oh my goodness. I have a lot of stuff here. Let's see, right? Am I able to write? Okay, good. So there's something known as the software development life cycle. And if you have been in or you've gotten into the field of software development, at least something you should be aware of SDLC. And I'm not going to go into that. You can read on it. Our goal here is to work on projects using AI tools, right? But essentially, what the software development lifecycle is about is telling us from idea to products, like as a software engineer or developer, what actually goes through building a product or building a project. Sometimes I do not want to say product because product seems like big, but project is a project. It could be as small as possible, right? So where you come with ideation, once you have an idea, you have to think through it thoroughly. You have to plan it out, what the features are going to be, how you want it to play out. You have to design, you have to develop, you have to test, evaluate, monitor, like all of these things form the software development lifecycle. And I've seen that one big mistake that some of us are making when it comes to using these AI tools is that we jump straight into the AI tools and we begin to discuss with the AI, hey, I want this, I want that. Right. And usually the AI isn't at its best right now. At least there's still more work to be done. It's still learning and getting better by the day. So what you can do to help yourself actually is to think through the problem. Like, do not skip the software development life cycle. I mean, appreciate it. You have an idea. I want to test this idea out. The next thing you want to do is to plan. So this project that we're going to do, let's plan. How are we going about it? So I asked in my WhatsApp group what people wanted us to build. Unfortunately, nobody suggested anything. So I'm not sure if you guys have any opinions on what you want us to build. You could probably make a suggestion. That's fine. But the ideal thing that we want to do is to think thoroughly about the idea that we have. What problem is it solving? What features must be in there? How does it play out? Right. And ideally, after you've done that, you also want to design before you start developing. That has been the process all this while, right? And it's a standardized approach for developing products. You think of an idea or you have a problem you need it solved. So you think of a solution to the problem. Say, hey, this is the solution. But then let's think about it. To be able to solve this problem fairly, what are the features that we need this product that we're going to build to have? Then we think through it. So there are concepts that we need to know. There's a concept known as user flow. So if a user is on, sorry that my handwriting isn't great right now, but the user flow is someone interacting with your platform. How many users? Like what types of users do you have? Do you have different users? Are they going to have different permissions? And if you have, say, an admin user or you have a viewer or say a contributor as one type of user, what exactly can they do on a platform? And if they logged in, what is the flow? Where do they go to from here to there? Like you have to be able to describe everything. So you have your user flow. You probably even want to start with what we call user stories, right? Understand the problem you're trying to solve and how it really helps your users. So your user story would say, hey, maybe if I am an admin on this platform, I want to be able to log into the platform and see all the other users on the platform. That is one of the user stories, right? So you need to be able to identify this. Well, let's build an association of developers website. What do you mean by association? I'm curious. Like, is it a platform where developers go to well, what like is it? Hey, I mean, I'm curious to understand or appreciate what you mean by that. But as I'm saying, you need to really understand the user stories. See, when you know all of these things, it's easy to compose the software. And mind you, now I'm choosing my terminologies very well. It's easy to compose the software because you're going to be able to speak to an AI and say, hey, I want something like this. And it's going to be able to spit out some of the code for you. I personally recommend that you understand the code, right? I recommend that whatever code that you churn out there, you should own it, even if it was an AI that gave you the code. Whether you are a beginner, you are an expert, whoever you are that you are using the AI to write a code, you have to make sure that you understand the code and you agree with it. So your job now will be more of quality, how do you call them? QA and QC. Quality assurance, quality control. A Quiz web app. Oh, really? Quiz. Okay. You keep bringing the ideas. We'll choose one of them. So your role as a software developer or engineer with the power of AI is shifting gradually to sort of being a QI, QC sort of person where you are ensuring that the AI tools are sorry, the AI tools are really churning out the right code, churning out the right thing. Like you are ensuring that nothing is going inside your code base without you agreeing to it, like security breaches and all, because you don't know what the AI is doing. There are things that the AI has put in the code that maybe based on what it's trained with, or some of these tools can have biases. So the most important thing is that you are overseeing the code, and therefore whatever code you accept from any of these AI tools should be code that you certify that, yeah, this is good enough. I own it. I am happy to defend it anytime, any day. I agree with it. Anytime you push code that is AI generated into your GitHub, what you are saying is that, yes, I've signed off this code and I agree that it works the way we want it to work. And if there are any issues, I should be blamed for it. So that is when you begin doing all of these things, you need to put yourself in that position. You're doing QA, QC, especially if the code is not coming from you. Because in the absence of these AI tools, if you were working for a senior engineer and you wrote code, this senior engineer is supposed to oversee the code that you write, right? They are supposed to check it and give you feedback and make sure you refine it, because whatever happens to the products the company is building, the senior is going to answer to it. So it's the same thing. So you are now the senior engineer with the AI being your mentee who is churning out code for you to review, and you're supposed to give it feedback. But before you are able to do this on a good level, you need to understand some of these things. So you need to understand the SDLC cycle as we've talked about. I hope YouTube is streaming perfectly. Let me make sure that, okay, good. Can see that everything is fine. Oh, hi Rutimi, welcome. It's been a while, guy. It's been a while. I hope you are doing well. Anyway, so back to what I'm saying, that is your new role, is to do QA QC on the code that any AI will generate. But even before I got into that, I was trying to explain the fact that if you really understand these things, that the user stories, the user flow, then ideally the next step you move to is design, right? And that's where a lot of us get hung off, because I'm not good at design. At least that's what people tell themselves. I don't know how to do these designs. I don't have a UI UX designer. So now it becomes a bit messy. How then do I get from my idea? I understand the user stories. I have my user flow. I appreciate everything that's supposed to go into this application. I've teased out all the features. Now, how do I even get a design? I don't have a design. Why don't I just skip that step? Yes, you can skip that step. I mean, talk to the AI. Now you understand everything and you'll be able to code for you. But there are also AI tools that can help you do design. And one of such tools that I found very interesting, and I've used a couple of times to do some wonderful design work. I mean, in others that by the time I go to code this application, like I have a perfect idea of what I'm building, right? One of such tools that I'm going to introduce to you, it's called Visio. I hope that's the name. Oh my goodness. I hope I haven't forgotten. Let's because now I say Visio and it sounds like something else in my mind. uh, Anyone here who has used Visio before? Visio AI. Is that it? Tell me that is it. No, this is not it. Visily. Yes, it's Visily, not Visio. Yes, because it sounded something. It sounded anyone who has used Visily before. Visily, I think so. Let me confirm that. It's been a while since I went there. Visily, yes. So it's in my history. I tells you that, yeah, UI design software for everyone. And this is one tool that I love. Seriously, frankly, I just love this too. Has anyone experienced it before? Anyone on call who has used it before? I think I have a Google account with it. No one. Okay, so let's explore it. I mean, it is more like Figma. Hopefully, some of you have heard about Figma before. So it's more like a platform where you do UI, UX design. So ideally, you've come up with your idea, you've teased out the features that you want to have, you've planned it out. Now you are at a point where you want to have a design so that you know exactly what you're building. And this tool is going to be able to help you, right? So for instance, you could actually take a screenshot, and that's the crazy part. Like if I went to, and sometimes I personally like to take inspiration from communities like Figma community, where there are a lot of designs out there. So if we came up with an idea today that we wanted to work on, we wanted to code that, I could probably go to Figma and see what others are doing. Sometimes I save some of these things just to use them as references. So you can see that these are things that I didn't create. There are some that I created, but most of the ones that you are seeing here, I probably got it from the Figma community. So this is something I'm working on a project that I needed to know some basic HR stuff and design that people are using in the market. So this is where I got some of these designs, right? You come here and you get inspiration from here. And Figma 2 has now incorporated a lot of AI stuff that makes it awesome to use. But assuming I have no idea how to code some of these things, and I really wanted maybe something like this, and obviously I found it in Figma, so I can come in here and edit. But then there are other platforms like those of you who know this UI stuff. Dribble. Dribble is one such platform where you can get inspiration from, right? Very nice designs. You can find very wonderful designs from here. So whatever you are searching for, you could come and get inspiration from here. But most times the designs there aren't for free. There are other images that you find on, say, Google Images. So you are looking at Femi mentioned a quiz app. So let me just say quiz app, then go to images and see what images we get here. Probably I would add UI to it so that we see if we have UI specific ones. Let's see, something like this. Okay. Assuming I wanted to design something like this, I really wish we had more. Let me use web instead of to something like this. Okay, yeah. The web interface, I think that's easier to showcase right now. Some of these are not too clear. But what I want to show you is I could literally download this as image. Okay. Download this as image and upload that image to Visly using the screenshot to design. So if I uploaded the image to Visly, hopefully it uploads this. Continue. Oh, must be JPEG or PNG. Let's see if we find anything like that. Holy, where is Dribble? Let me find something from Dribble. So this is what we have from Dribble. And let's say I'll take a snapshot of it. And save that image. Let's as save this as first image. Let me just see. Okay. Then we go back to Visly. Maybe I want to design something like this, right? But I want to be able to edit them. I'm not good at designing. I can't really look at it and go and replicate it myself. So when I come to Visly, I'm going to just upload that screenshot I just took, and it's going to create it for me such that now it's going to be editable. So that's one of the ways. That's how you use Visly. One of the ways you use Visly to generate editable images is just using screenshot. The other way is you talk to the AI and say, hey, this is what I want. I want an interface that can do A, B, C. It didn't get it like perfect because the image that we had initially had the black thing crossing it, but at least you got the work done to an extent. And now you can edit this, right? I've used it in the past for projects. I mean, school projects, and it did a wonderful job at getting me the thing that I wanted, right? So you can now go in now and make all the changes that you want. So this is one of the tools that you definitely want to play with. The other one that you can do, and there are a lot of things. The good thing about this Visly is that, and hey, I mean, let me throw out the disclaimer. Nobody is sponsoring me or anything to come and talk about any of these tools. I am frankly discussing tools that I have experimented with, I've discovered and used along the line. That's all I'm showing you. So don't think that I have any motivation other than wanting to share with you what I have found. Okay. So they have a lot of templates that you can actually get inspiration from. So if you are designing your own stuff and you are not even a designer, these are a lot of templates that you can come and pick and choose from. So you can choose whether you are using it for the web or you're working on mobile. Then choose any of these templates and work with. Okay. The other thing that you can do is the AI part where it's test to design. So let's say we want a web design screen. Unfortunately, they limit it to 500 characters. So you have to be succinct. You have to, that's why I said before you even get here, you should have thought through exactly what you want so that you're able to speak to it directly without mincing words, right? Go straight to the point. What exactly are you looking for? In less than 500 characters, can you tell the AI to generate the right thing that you're looking for? And it's free. For free, you have a certain number of credits. So I have 100 credits, and now I've used 20 of them for free. So it tells you if I do test to diagram, that's 10 credits. That means that your free 100 credits, you only have 10 screens that you can design for free, right? In a day. I think it will renew. Is it in a day? Yeah, I think so. I think it renews almost every day. I'm not too sure, but I've used it consecutive days before. So I want to believe that it's just in a day. So you have to be smart about it, know what you're coming to ask for. Then when you ask for it, you're able to get the wonderful screens that you want. So let's say we just want a sign up screen for our quiz app that we're talking about. Design registration page for a web-based quiz app. Then maybe the details that we want. What and what will we be collecting? Um, should include, let's say, full name, username, password, confirm password. What other thing? Email. What other thing could we add? If you are creating a registration form, what will you ask for? Guys, you are here with me, so help me. Let me not think alone.
I think that's all. That's the major thing.
Okay, so we go here,
The
make
country.
Oh, you want country too? Okay, cool. We add country. Make this professional with a sleek, modern design. You could be more explicit by telling it the color, how you want it. And this is if you have really thought about it, you have the company's brand and all of that, it would be very helpful. So now, say something good is happening. Let's wait for that good thing that is happening. It's generating it over here. Right. So let's see. Quiz Master. One, we didn't tell it the name of the quiz app. So that's something we should probably have told it. And yeah, let's see what it's doing. Okay. So this is what it generated. Ideally, I would have preferred there is an image here. So you may have to have told it, hey, put an image on the side and all. But I think this isn't too bad. I don't like that. This is not rightly centered. But the good thing is that this whole thing is editable, right? So I could come in here and edit it myself and say, okay, I want this to be here. And even with these ones, I probably want, maybe I need to select them one after the other. But I would love that they came down a bit, have an image here. But if you don't know how to do any of those things, you can still go and prompt it back and say, hey, this is not what I'm looking for. Give me something else. And that is the tool that you can use for your designs. So even before you start coding anything, you could actually come here and do it. Right. Any questions about this? It's a tool that you have to play with. Maybe I'll do a separate video going in depth on how to use this. But today, I want to show you some of the tools that I am personally using to do some of this project. Then along the line, when we have subsequent sessions, I'll be able to break them down and show you exactly how I build this project, right? So any questions so far from our live audience? YouTube, I
Okay,
am,
so I just want to know if
yeah,
this really can only design like a page at once. Like, can it just design the whole user flow from beginning to
no.
the
No,
so
like
you have to
because
be
the
prompting one
prompt
after the
is 500 characters, and I don't
okay,
think you'll be able to pass those, like the whole flow into just 500 characters.
okay,
Yeah, and at least to how I've used it is always one screen at a time. One screen at a time. Yeah.
okay, okay. So you'll be able, so how will you be able to like merge all of those two together at the end of the day?
So, I mean, you could do prototyping in here. This is just like Figma. So you could do your prototyping in here, but then you could also export it as a Figma file and take it to Figma. So those of you who are very comfortable with Figma, you can go do that in Figma. Otherwise, it's just going to be here and you are able to arrange it the way you want. The order in which you want it, you arrange it. And this is just for design, like you are designing. You could export it as a PNG or as a JPEG or a PDF. So it's totally up to you and how you want to use it. Right. So for some of the other AI tools, you could literally save this as a PNG or JPEG and go and give it to an AI to like say ChatGPT for it to write a code for you in a particular language or framework or library that you are using. So the whole point is for you to get the idea fleshed out. That's the whole point of design before you go and waste your time on writing code and hey, even though I'm telling you all these things, I'm guilty of them. Sometimes an idea comes to mind, I'm really quick to implement. I just go, I'm implementing and I get stuck. I'm like, did you really take the time to think through this? Then I have to back up and go rethink it. And sometimes it's refactoring a code is even more difficult than coding it. Like, because the kind of implementation you currently have doesn't make room for the new changes that you are going to do. So you have to change everything. And that's a lot of work that we do not want to go into. So fleshing this out, if you have the time, like is the best thing, right? using these tools to flesh out your idea, then maybe you can use your AI tools to assist you. On YouTube, Amonu says where we can get the location of people and objects. Oh, okay. Joe Porter application. Interesting. Where you can get the location of people and objects. Will people want to be located that way? I'm currently in need of help to design and prototype. Oh, cool. So you have an AI tool that can help you. Yeah. So this is basically I've used it for a couple of projects, especially my school projects. Trust me. It's easier when you're thinking about things and you want to put it, because sometimes you have to, like, we do mostly group projects when it comes to these ones, and sometimes you are trying to communicate something, but some people are not too technical, so they can't really appreciate it. You have to flesh it out and show it to them. Then they can make recommendations. Oh, so now that you have it this way, could we actually consider that? So it's easy for me to come to Visly and tell it, okay, this is what we want, design it for me. Then now I share it with my team members and, like, okay, we can improve it this way or that way. So this is a tool for design. We need to move on to the next one. Any other questions? And I should be able to acknowledge all of you who are on the stream right now. Jeremiah, oh my goodness. So my brother is here. Yeah, Jerry, hi, 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 hi. A lot of people don't know, but yeah. Uh, Anyway, so let's move on to, we have, imagine, like, we are going through the SDLC cycle. We are trying to build a project. We have an idea. We are doing our designs, and now after the designs, we need to develop the thing. So we need tools that will assist us in coding, and there are a lot of these tools. How you decide on what to use and all, it's a different story altogether. For those of you who have joined my streams most of the time, know how much I love JavaScript, right? And by extension, TypeScript. So if you are here because you thought I was going to be teaching Python, sorry, you can exit the room. Let me give one room of silence to those people. You exit the room, then we continue with our JavaScript. Any Python lovers who are exiting? Anyway, I love Python as well. But yeah, I mean, I've in the past couple of months, say the past 5 months, almost every project I've done has to do with JavaScript and TypeScript, like related projects. I haven't really done any major projects on Python apart from the ones I used to teach. Like, if you watch some of my sessions, the things I do live, and trust me, these are things that I do not build behind the scene before I show up here. Like, even this tool that I'm talking about, it's not like I pre-planned it. I don't have any notes right now. Like, I'm going on the fly, showing you what I use and explaining them to you, right? So I've mostly dealt with JavaScript, but I'm saying this because before you even start coding any of these, you'd have to decide on which programming languages, which tech stack you are going to be using, right? So that's the right terminology to use, the tech stack to use. Let's go back to Scarlet Draw. So you remember this visly.ai, I think was the URL. Then the next thing you want is the, oh, don't let me feel don't let people feel that I am bad at writing. I'm not. Like, I write really beautifully. I write really beautifully. Those who have seen my handwriting know. Don't disgrace me. So please, tech stack. Right. My tech stack for a while now has been using Nest.js, usually using it for the full stack or just for the front end. If I use it for just the front end, what I will probably be using for the back end is Express.js. And for all these two, you need Node.js. That's where they are coming from, right? Then To even get to Next.js, you need to know about what is called React.js. All these things are a lot, man. Like, what do you mean? To build one application, I have to learn React.js. I have to. Yes, that is it, unfortunately. But when you come to composing software, sometimes, like where we are going to, all you need to know is like basic understanding of these things and how they work. Not like the deep, deep, deep. Eventually, it's going to get like these tools are going to get so good that you don't need like deep things, right? But for now, these are what I usually use. Then you also have to think about you've sorted out the front end, the back end. You probably have to think about libraries for, say, authentication. How are you going to ensure that the right person is the one logging, have access to the right thing? You can manually do all of these things, but obviously, if you are joining this session, it means that you want soft life, right? That's what you are looking for. You are hurt, but you stick around. So sorry, Python life lovers, don't worry. I love you. I love you too. Yeah. So the thing is that you want to be efficient. So if people have sat down to write these boilerplate code for you so that you don't have to rewrite all of them, then there's no need for you to rewrite them. The only time that I encourage you rewriting them is for you to now understand how these things are done. So if you see me posting online that I'm coding my own authentication service, what it means for me is that I really want to appreciate how these things work behind the scene, right? And not just using someone's library. When I want to do a production ready application, I'm obviously not coding it myself. Like I'm leveraging the existing libraries. When this is somewhere, if I remember correctly, probably somewhere 2018, when I was trying to understand these things, like frameworks, libraries, what have you? And those times I was learning PHP. Shout out to all my PHP folks out here. I was learning PHP and I really wanted to learn the MVC architecture when it comes to coding, right? So those times, like those of you who started learning coding, yes, maybe you tried along the line. There was a very big YouTube channel that we all used to learn programming. It was called The New Boston. I don't know if they still exist. Let me try YouTube and see. The New Boston. That's where I used to learn my PHP stuff. The New Boston. Let's say PHP. The guy was good. It was damn good. PHP playlist, The New Boston. Oh, they are still posting content here 2 months ago. That's interesting. I didn't know. I thought they had stopped. And you see, the channel has 2.68 million subscribers. It's been around for years because when I start, oh, cool. So this is what you're doing now. Anyway, this was just by the way. So that's where I was learning stuff from. Right. I've even lost my chain of thoughts. Exactly why I mentioned the new Boston. Yes, now I remember. So I was trying to understand the MVC model, and he had a video. I think it was a new Boston, like a series on how to build your own MVC framework. So instead of using a framework like Laravel, Code Igniter, we're like, oh no, these are people have done this already. We want to build our own stuff. Like I remember it was a colleague of I and myself. And trust me, I learned a lot doing that particular thing. Like for some of us, you are using Next.js. You go and you start using it. All the code, the boilerplate code has been written for you. So sometimes you don't really understand or appreciate how it came by. They came by that. So by trying to build our own framework, we understood the details, like everything that goes in there, what's really happening, right? And that tutorial that I followed from the New Boston was really helpful in opening my eyes to understand exactly how to implement the MVC architecture in coding and all of that. But even after writing the code for my own framework, when I needed to build a product, I went to learn Code Igniter and used that to build a product. Afterwards, I learned Laravel to build the next product. Why didn't I use my own framework? Because some of these things, security, you cannot guarantee. Like you've written the code, yes, you think that it gets the work done, but there could be a lot of loopholes in there that you do not know much about. But when you take most of these advanced frameworks, mostly they are open source. A lot of developers have contributed to it. And even when they are not open source, they still have a bigger team that has contributed to it. And it's ensuring like it's being actively maintained. So they are ensuring that the security is top notch and everything is considered, right? So if I'm doing any production based application, hey, feel free, use any of these existing ones that people are recommending instead of building your own stuff. But if you get to the point where you really want to understand how these things are working, then feel free to create your own stuff. Very important. All right. So we've considered the front end, the back end. You need to also think about something like databases. So what database am I going to use? And I have been a fan of MongoDB for a while now. Like since I started learning Node, Express.js, I'm almost always defaulting to MongoDB. It simplifies a lot of the things that I have to do. And usually my MongoDB will go with Mongoose. For those of you who do not appreciate these things, please do not sweat it, right? Now you'll be able to compose code after a while, but yeah, we still haven't gotten there where you just tell the thing and it does everything for you. But hey, you need to know some of these things, what they are doing, at least to be able to build tools with the AI. But of recent times too, I've gone back to my first love, which is relational databases using SQL. But this time around, instead of MySQL, I'm defaulting more to PostgreSQL because I realize that is what a lot of big companies use. So, I mean, there are a whole lot of things you can read about it and why you should choose it, why you should not choose it, and all. And also, sometimes it depends on your application, such that in your use case, it depends on your use case, and you decide whether to, depending on the nature of the data that you're having. All right. You decide whether to go with a NoSQL database like MongoDB or a SQL database like PostgreSQL. And I'm not going to dive into that right now, but at least I wanted you to know these are the two type of databases that I have been resonating with or have been using in the past couple of months and mostly in development. So now I use instead of when I'm using MongoDB, I mostly go with Mongoose, which is known as an ODM. Please, if you don't know these things and you're interested in these topics, please go and find out what they mean. ODM, for those of you who know relational database, you know it as ORM. So ORM is what, somebody feel free to type it in the chat. Let me know that you know.
Object
Uh,
relational
relational what? The M is what?
mapping. Mapping.
M- Mapping. Okay. Or mapper, whichever one it is. So what would the D be? Instead of relational, what would the D be? Okay, thank you. So somebody has put it in the chat. The
Oh,
D is for documents. Okay, because this is a document type of database, the MongoDB. So for me, when I'm using Postgres, now I prefer Prisma. It's sometimes a pain to work with, frankly. Like there was, I think that was about a month ago, like one of our production side, because of a Prisma migration, I almost lost the data. Like it was hell for me, frankly. Probably because I don't know a lot about it. I'm still new to it. But yeah, I've loved it so far. And when I'm using Prisma as my ORM on my local DB, sorry, on my local environment, I prefer to use SQLite for my database. And this is very simple. So for those of you who have never done anything at all, right, and you want to use these AI tools to assist you build stuff, you probably want to start off using SQLite as your database so that you don't have to sweat any database stuff. Like it's very easy. It's going to be just a file, a single file with an extension as .db in your code base. So something that you can look into. So this has become largely the tech stack that I use for most of the things. So if I'm going to prompt an AI to do any of the things, that's what I'm going to talk about. But now we need to talk about other things like, hey, when I'm building these things, I need to make them nice, style them. So what kind of style sheet am I using? And it's been a while since I wrote vanilla CSS. I think the last time I did a lot of vanilla CSS was when I taught an HTML and CSS bootcamp earlier this year. Outside of that, I haven't really done a lot of vanilla CSS. So now my newfound love is Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is what I've been using nowadays. Mostly those times I think I used to use Bootstrap a lot. But now if you ask me about Bootstrap, I don't even know if I know about Bootstrap. Like it's been a long while since I used Bootstrap. Okay, so I've been using Tailwind CSS. And for type safety in my JavaScript, I use TypeScript a lot. So that's also there. Then because I'm using Next.js for my front end, I'm largely relying on some React components, and I've begun exploring a lot of the components library. So one particular one that I use a lot is called ShardCN. ShardCN UI components. So all you got to do now is just go online and say ShardCN UI, then it takes you to their documentation. Pretty nice components in there that you could use for almost anything and everything that you want to build. So if you want an accordion, this is where you get it. The code is right here. You can copy it, or there's a way that you run it on the terminal. So you install it this way by adding it to your code base itself. So when it adds it to the code base, it's giving you the actual code for its implementation such that you can edit it to suit your own use case. So I love using ShardCN. They have a lot of components. And now they've also introduced blocks where the blocks are like pre-made interfaces. So here we have a sidebar with collapsible sessions. If you want something like that, you could come in here and grab that. There are a lot of other things, right, that you could pick from. It's been a while. I think the last time I was here, they didn't have all these sidebars. So you have a calendar in here, the sign in or log in screen. Yeah, they're doing a lot of things. You want charts, you can get some charts, beautiful charts here. Yeah, you can easily add the dark mode and light mode to your code base. Pretty easy. So if you are comfortable with React, this is something you want to explore, this components library. And they're coming out more and more. There are a lot of these that I've discovered, but this is the one that I use commonly. And I do not want to flood you guys with all of these tools. Like, hey, this is the ones that I prefer the most. As we do these sessions, I'll be introducing you to the other ones that I use once in a while. But yeah, ShardCN is one of the components libraries that I use often. And I'm going to show you one of the other reasons why I prefer to use it. Let me read the chart. Tailwind is more, oh, okay. Someone else. Vanilla CSS. Oh, okay. Thank you. I think you guys are answering the question. I'm grateful. The difference between Tailwind CSS and vanilla CSS. Yeah. So some of these, like the Tailwind CSS, a bootstrap, Most of these are just libraries or frameworks that have been created out of the original CSS. So I've written my own set of classes that you're going to use in your code. Okay, instead of writing your own CSS, but then I've given you what it means. Like if you see a class that say BG hyphen white, it means that in actual CSS, I'm calling the background to be white. Like I've created this class for you. So now all that you have to do is to use that class. So that's what most of these things do. The libraries and frameworks build out of them. That's what they do. Okay. All right. Let me read on YouTube. You have any comments? Goodness, not easy managing this. Okay. Oh, no SQL. Say I should get time to initiate you into NoSQL. Okay, I hear you. I mean, I love MongoDB. The reason why, okay, let me speak to it. The reason why I think I love MongoDB is because I do not use the local instance of MongoDB. It's only one project where I worked on where I had to install MongoDB for production in an EC2 instance on AWS. But outside of that, almost every time I use MongoDB Atlas, which is like the free version to create my application. So anytime I'm testing any project at all, I just come in here, create a database, and yeah, you call it a collection, create the collections, and I'm good. I shouldn't be doing some of these things live because I'm yet to do something. Ah, goodness. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So you see that this actually code notes, as you see here, was the very first project I did when I was learning the main stack. I don't know if it still exists, but I remember I hosted it on Render. So yeah, please, like I'm mentioning these things, not to show off or anything. You should be taking cues from it. Render is one platform that you can use for hosting some of your things that you do. Okay, so that's the essence. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning some of these. So if we go to Render and you see projects that I have posted here, the first one that you see here is Code Notes. This was the front end. This was the back end. And this Code Notes API, this is the database for it. So that was in December 2022. I was still a learner in ALS when I started teaching myself the main stack. And that was the first project I did. But you can see that I have other projects in here that I'm using this as my database. And because I don't have to do any extra work in setting up that database, that is why I'm defaulting to it most of the time. Sometimes, even when a thing requires a relational database, I am thinking twice about it and saying, hey, MongoDB will serve me because I do not want, if I want to run this thing right now online, setting up my SQL database online. Most of the free SQL MySQL databases online, they are just I have to be careful with my choice of words. But then I've not really found one that I love yet. So I prefer MongoDB Atlas. That is what I can say. Okay. Any questions so far? We are done with our tech stack. So now we know if we are building anything, you know that these are the ones that I personally love to use. So these are the ones that we are probably going to end up using. For authentication, because I'm mostly using Nest.js, you find me use NestAuth. NestAuth now has changed its name to Auth.js. So either of them, okay? And for most of these things, you just go to Google and ask Google, say Auth.js or NestAuth, any of them, NestAuth. You should be able to find the and recently there's another kid on the blog that everybody is talking about, even though for my use case I've not found it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not helpful, it's very helpful, I've not really used it much. I've used it in for testing. Clark for authentication. Is it? Oh, it's called Click. Okay, Click Auth. So Click Auth is very easy to use. Very, very easy. If you are doing an application where you don't think you are going to be, I mean, if you have the money, that's fine. But if you don't have the money, but then you know that your user base is not going to grow extremely. Like here, 10,000 monthly active users. If you are not envisaging the product to have more than 10,000 monthly users, then using Click would be a good thing to do because it will sort out all of those odds handling. Like you want people to log in using, say, Facebook, Google, all those things to be sorted out for you. And you have components like the chat CN that I showed you, the UI components from chat CN, that you can just copy and paste. So you want something that where they are verifying their email, you receive it. No, guys, you want to record a session. Anyway, because I don't know if I start this recording, I doubt you'll be able to have access to it. I don't know because it will record into this is my student account that I'm using. So probably not. That's why I'm streaming it to YouTube so that you can get access to it. But I don't know. So if you think that it would record on your side so that you have access to it, because it's prompting me that it will be recorded into the cloud, and I doubt you have access to it. So in that same way, you could probably get it from YouTube. Okay, let's not sweat it. All right. So Clark has all of these things that you can just import and use. You don't have to go and create your user. You don't have to manage these things. They are automatically handled for you. All you need to know is to read from their docs and understand how to implement it. And it's pretty easy. So you choose a particular framework. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, sorry guys. Someone was looking for me. Yeah. So like here, I come and I choose Next.js and it's going to walk me through. This is how to install this. This is how you set up these environment variables and add this middleware to your thing, add this provider, blah, blah, blah. And now you're done. So pretty easy. And using it is really cool. But when I'm building a production ready application, my goal is hopefully to go beyond 10,000 monthly active users. And I'm wondering if this is really a cost that I'm going to be willing to bear. I mean, it depends on the product. If the product is a free product that I'm working on, then hey, am I still going to consider it or not? So it is what it is right now, but 10,000 is a good number. I don't know if any of us has built a product that has more than 10,000 active users. The closest I've come to it was running my health blog where we had like 40,000 monthly visitors at the time. So yeah, anyway, it's still a pretty good number. By the time you have gotten here, and if it is a paid product, obviously you're making enough money to be able to cater for this. So for those of you who are not too tech savvy and you want some simple authentication service in your applications, you can consider Click. So that's one of them that I can add to the list. Maybe somebody should make a note of these things that I'm mentioning so that afterwards we can share it with the community. Okay. Any questions before I move on? So now let's assume we wanted to start our new project, right? There is a new AI kit on the blog. I haven't really used it that much, but at least it was released about 2 weeks ago, and I've used it like twice. It's not the best yet. I'm going to mention it to you guys because I want you to start playing with these tools. By the time they become mainstream, you would know about them and be able to use them very well, right? So it is not one of the tools that I'm using regularly, but then it was released about 2 weeks ago, and I've started exploring it, and I think it's going to be pretty cool, especially for people who don't know much. And by know much, I mean you still know something, you understand this tech stack thing that I'm talking about and how they work together, but you don't know enough to build very complex applications, and you want to start using the AI to assist you to build some of these things. It is called Boats, and I know some of you might have already heard of it before. Boats.new is the URL. So we go here and say boats.new. And it says, what do you want to build? Prompt, run, edit, and deploy full stack web apps. So most of the other AI tools that will be showing you is mostly for the UI stuff, the front end stuff. But this particular one is allowing you to build full stack web apps just with a prompt. And I think the context window is pretty huge because I've typed a lot of stuff in there that's, yeah, says, so example, you could say start a blog with Astro and it's going to build that out for you. Or build a mobile app with native script and it's going to do that for you. Or create a doc site with WordPress or scaffold UI with ChatCN. But then you have to give it a lot of details, because if you give it just a shallow prompt, it's going to do shallow work for you, right? So you have to give it a lot of details to be able to churn out the right thing that you want. And once it's done, you could actually push it to Stackblaze. Stackblaze is one of those online code editors that you could use to host your application. So I think this is one of the things that I was working on here. I mean, testing it out. So you could actually write an SJS application right in here, right in this particular terminal in your Chrome or Mozilla, whichever browser you're using, without necessarily installing things on your own computer. So you don't know how to install Next.js, you don't know how to start a Next.js project and all of that. You could come to a platform like Stackblaze. Let me add it to the list. Please, the class captain of the group, please, I hope you are taking notes. I know we haven't set any class captain, but if you want to volunteer yourself and be the class captain of the group, I'll appreciate it. To write down the list of these tools so that we could share it when we are done. So this is Stack Blazed. And yeah, now you see this here open in both.new. So if you're working on a project here and you want to go use the AI to talk to it and all, you could open it in there and play with it. So hey, I just wanted to introduce you guys to this. We are not going to use it right now, but feel free to play with it and get comfortable using these tools, because eventually they'll become mainstream. Like I wasn't here when, or maybe I wasn't in the field when VS Code, a tool like VS Code was released. So I don't know if people fought it or not, but I know human nature, we will always fight change. So a lot of people would fight it, but sometimes change is inevitable and we can't do much about it, no matter how much we fight it. So I keep saying that I would err on the side of good, right? Like instead of saying or just staying aloof and thinking that maybe this is not going to work, so why waste my time on it? I'd rather play with it, get comfortable with these tools so that if it works, then I am part of the people who are getting the benefit from it. If it doesn't work, I don't lose anything because I had fun playing with it anyway. So that mentality is what I want you to have when you come to trying these tools out. It's there's a chance that it's not going to work. There's a chance that AI is a fad, like a facade that is going to go away anytime soon. Like, hey, I mean, people used to talk about the internet as such, right? So there is that slight possibility, even though my instinct tells me that no, it's beyond what it is now. Because you're literally using it every single day. Like almost everyone is using it. And I don't think we wake up tomorrow and AI is just gone, it's vanished. Like a lot of things have changed and they are not going back to what they used to be. So what I will encourage you all on the stream today is to keep trying these things, keep playing with them, right? If they become something in future, you are one of the people who have mastered it so well that if they are looking for the one person or the top five people who can do these things, you are counted. Don't be left behind and say, hey, I wish I had taken those things serious. I wish I had. No, this is the best time for you. If in 10 years' time these things are useless and they don't matter, hey, you had fun doing it anyway. Okay. I hope that sank in well with you all. So let's go to the next tool, and that's the tool that I use frequently for my designs now. So I showed you earlier the tool that I use to design in terms of UI designs. But nowadays, even when I want, like I go to use another tool, AI tool, that does not just do the design, it writes the code, but previews it for me. And I know some of you know it already. So let's go straight into it. It is called View. The interesting thing is that I've mentioned that the tech stack I'm using is mostly Nest.js for the front end, using Tailwind CSS and Shad CN components. The interesting thing is that Nest.js is actually maintained by a company called Vessel. And Vessel is a company that is producing Vue. And they are also leveraging ShadCN components, also using Tailwind CSS. So essentially, the tech stack that I am using is what this AI tool is using to also generate stuff. So I'll show you Vue v0.dev. That is the URL. Maybe I should copy it and paste. And as I said, I hope somebody is writing the notes for us. And you are going to be generous enough to share it. Hey, why? You didn't copy Vue. You're going to be generous enough to share it for free. Before by the time I realize somebody is selling it. Yeah, I know my people. Okay. Yeah. So vo.dev is there here. I mean, and if I show you my history, should I or should I not? Should I or should I not? Yes. Oh, Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Yes, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. You
Yeah.
shouldn't.
I shouldn't. Okay, thank you. I'm doing stuff, so I shouldn't share my history. Okay, but yeah, this is one of the tools where I mean very wonderful design. So let's try what we tried with Visly, and we designed a registration page for Quizmaster. I wish I could get that same prompt that I use. I don't know if they allow you to get a prompt back. Oh no. Obviously AI, do you still have my prompt? So there are a lot of things here. Like I've tried this test to design before, then test to diagram as well. So if you want flow charts to explain things, you could actually use this as well. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to get. Oh, so it gives you the CSS code as well. Interesting. But let's no, so I don't think we'll get the prompt. So let's go and try prompting view. So we want design for professionally looking web-based quiz app. So yes, somebody asked the question as to whether Visly can design multiple screens at a time. Vue can do that because it is writing code. So if you actually came and said it should design the whole application, the interface of the application with the various pages and all, it's going to do it. But mind you, it is using React.js. So for as long as you're comfortable with that, it's going to do it for you. If you are not necessarily interested in a code, but you still want to design anyway to go and show to people to, maybe you are thinking about an idea. For those of you who are not tech savvy and you are watching this stream, you're thinking about an idea and you want somebody who is tech savvy to build it for you, but you're just looking at, okay, if I could get the design, then I could give it to them to build it. You could try this one as well. Right? And I think when I started using it, they were in public beta. So you didn't even need to create an account to start using it. But now they are no longer in public beta, I guess. Now you need to create an account to start using it. And the good thing is that it's able to keep your history. So you can come back to it, you can refine the things. But note, you're using credits. So they also have a paid plan. And this thing is becoming so good. I feel like maybe if they start, I mean, if I need, I probably may start paying it, right? Like, I haven't really decided, but something that I may consider if I have to, because it's really helping me nowadays. So let's go on. Design professionally looking web-based quiz app registration screen. Or let's say just the quiz app, right? Web-based quiz app. What else would we want? Like, what should a quiz be about? So let's I just want to see how creative it's going to be. So what do you think the quiz should be about? Femi, I think you were the one who suggested a quiz app. But guys, yeah. Oh, quiz about Python. Okay. So quiz app that quizzes users on programming concepts. Make it fun to play with. So this is not how I use it. This is not how I use it. I'm usually coming with, hey, I want this screen design. I want it to look like this, the colors, I want these colors, I want that, I want that. So mostly I'm using it for design. And when it designs it, I'm able to copy and paste the code easily, like into Next.js. And I'll show you when we get into more of the practical part. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious what is going to turn out right now. So let's go. Make it fun to play such that users get rewarded every time they get a score right. So if I was doing this with boats.new, the difference would be I would tell boats.new that the tech stack it should use. Otherwise, it will choose its own tech stack, and maybe that's not what I'm interested in. So, okay, Bright Yummy. Man, is that the Bright Yummy that I know? my school father was called Bright Yummy. Is it what? I doubt. Okay. I hope this is not my school father anyway. Yeah. So for VO, sorry, for bots.new, I'll probably put the you should use Nest. No. So listen, these are two different things. Nest with the S is different from Nest with the X. So let's pay attention to it. Oh, so you were just listing them. Okay. But what I talked about was the Nest, right? The one with X. So the thing about this is that, especially Nest.js in itself, there are several versions of Nest.js, and you have to narrow down and tell it the specifics. So if I'm doing it with both, I'll tell it use Nest.js 14 app router. That's what I'm looking for so that it doesn't use the pages. So there is an old version that uses page routing and this uses app routing. I mean, yeah, I prefer this rather. And I'd say Tailwind, Tailwind CSS with shard CN UI components. if you need a database, you can use SQLite. So because this can do full stack applications, you could actually, we say, oh no, you're a student from junior high school. Oh, oh my goodness. Right. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if I ever told you that my school father too is Bright Yami. Yeah. Interesting. Say, but use any programming language of client choice. Yes, I think so. I doubt it has any preference because I think it should be able to use any language, at least what they have trained it with. Because I use largely React based Next.js. I'm always telling it, hey, I want Next.js 14 app router, right? But the fact that it's talking about Astro here and all of these, I want to believe that any framework probably will be able to do it for you. But hey, try it and give us feedback. You can use SQLite. So in order not to prolong this, let's just click enter. Oh no, why? Thought I'm already logged in. Okay, it's doing its work. Let it think. Let's come to this. This is for just the design part, the UI part. So we are not going to tell it to use the various tech stack. It only uses Next.js, Tailwind CSS. Like it has the limited scope that it's currently working on. So hey, let's click enter and see what it also does. So this guy is setting up. See, so it has installed the. I always forget to give the app a name. So ideally, you would want to give it a name. It has called it app. Then in here, no, so this is actually the app directory that we have, and it has installed these files. Now it's writing the code, and it's giving you updates here. So I've create initial files, install dependencies, it run these things, and now update these files. So that's what it's doing. Then afterwards, it ran this code, which is npm run. Says I've created a professional looking web-based quiz app for programming concepts using Nest 14 with the app router, blah, blah, blah. So you could read it and try and appreciate it. But this is the quiz that it has created, a quiz app. So it has used the prompt that you gave it, right? And let's see if it works. Oh, there's a problem. So now that there's a problem, you click, it has realized that there's a problem. So fix problems. Then you go on, let's fix it, and we'll get back to it. But let's see what the UI guy is doing for us. So this is what the UI guy did for us. Okay, we can actually preview in large screen. So it did just this. And I mean, if I was doing my app and it had this thing, can you see that? Did you guys see that? If you get it right, what happens? Okay. Tell me, do you not like this? This UI guy. Okay, so let's see if this has fixed it. If it has fixed it, or still there's a problem. So yeah, you may have to play around with it, but I mean, this is also more in beta stage right now. So it's still learning and trying things. You can deploy once everything is done, but you keep changing and playing it. And I told you this is not something I play like I use frequently. I'm just starting to play with it. So you guys feel free to play with it. But I think I love like Vue. So I was telling you guys, like I'm probably contemplating that I may end up paying for it if I have to do my UI stuff, right? Because hey, this is nice. Which of the following is not a JavaScript data type? Who knows the answer? Which of the following is not a JavaScript data type?
That should be float.
Wow, who answered it? Blessing, great,
Yeah,
thank you.
float is the answer.
Yeah, well done. What does CSS stand for? Today we are quiz. You people created a quiz. You have to answer it.
Cascading style sheet.
Cascading
Okay.
Starship.
Okay, great. Which HTML tag is used to define an unordered list?
UL. UL.
On
Yeah.
ordered list. Okay. So great. Now the last one. What is the correct way to comment out multiple lines in
Second line
CSS?
there.
Which
Second
one?
one.
The
Second
second
one.
one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So your score is
Oh,
5 out of 5.
oh, 5 out of 5. Nice one.
It's a perfect score. You're a programming genius. So we just created a quiz.
This is
Okay,
amazing.
this is just the
Hey,
UI.
this is beautiful.
This is just the UI, guys. So this is one of the tools that I'm playing a lot with. Like I love backend a lot. So most of the time when I have ideas, I try to think about my database structure, try to plan out my back end. Then I'll come to VO for the front end. Like I'm a design guy too. I can design these things, but hey, I just did this in just how many minutes, you know? And the code is right here. Yeah, this is the code for this application. I could actually tell it to tease these things into multiple components for me to use. The other interesting thing is that I can literally use this code in my my Next.js application just by coming here, add to code base, and grabbing this cn components command. So that is the interesting thing. So VO is actually more of a partnership between Vessel and ShardCN, such that now if I'm using ShardCN components, which is already part of my own tech stack, I just copy this, run it on the command line, and it will automatically add this functionality or this interface to my code base. So that's where we are now. I'm probably going to be closing
So it
the
means it
mhm.
means Vue does designs and write the code as well.
Yeah. So that's why I've switched more to it. And at least you have a generous fee per day. Like per day, I've forgotten the total number of credit, but then I ran this thing. I think the first time I discovered it, I created so many things that I ran out of credit that very night. It's the same thing. Like anytime I find these tools, and there are a lot of interesting tools that I found that we're going to share in subsequent streams. So hopefully, let's see. I don't know if we can turn this into a Saturday stream, and maybe almost every Saturday I do the stream. But let's see how it goes, and I'll show you some of these. And we actually built some projects with it. So maybe the next stream, I'll think about a project I want to build so that it's not like I'm just wasting my time here. And you all can equally contribute as we learn and use these things, right? I was trying to get back to YouTube to see if there are any comments there. Okay. Yeah. So those of you who are on the stream, if you have any questions, yeah. Say what? Do code lazy as okay. Hope you are recording this video. Tony Bless, it's been long. Yeah, I mean it's streaming to YouTube, so it's there. I'm not taking it down. It's there, public. Then once Daily Health says awesome too. Yeah, these are really awesome, man. When I get introduced to tools like this, I literally spend my whole night sitting on them, trying to play with them, trying to figure out my colleague and I here have a terminology. We say these are toys, right? So you know how when we're children, we wanted to play with the toys every time. Like that's the same feeling we are getting right now. Let's play with these things. These are just new things we are discovering every single day. Play with them. Like find everything you can, like squeeze every juice you can get out of them. Because next tomorrow they become mainstream, and maybe the CV requirements now is somebody who has 5 years experience with Vue. Like, yeah, I'm one of them. I've been using it since the day it was introduced, you know? So, guys, don't be left behind. Please don't be left behind. Says that's beautiful. And what of back end? Are there tools that can do the same? So, hmm, back end, now the tools that can do the back end mostly are back end as a service tools. Backend as a service tools are tools that you probably go define your database and it has more like the API for you already and you're able to use it. So one of such tools is called, and somebody can drop it in the chat. It starts with an S. It's called, oh goodness, how can I forget this? I've tried using it before, but I didn't. Man, I'm a backend guy, and I don't know. I like control over my things, but I think I'll definitely go back to it one of these days for a project. Backend as a service. Let's see. It's an open source tool. Providers. Let's see if that comes up. Anyone who's listening shouldn't be struggling to remember this. Superbase. It's called Superbase. Yeah, here's one. So Firebase is one of them, but for Google, then AWS has AWS Amplify as well. But these are proprietary, but Superbase is pretty cool. Pretty cool with wonderful, well, pricing, free package as well. So it says building a weekend, scale to millions. Superbase is an open source Firebase alternative. Start your project with a Postgres database, authentication, instant APIs, edge functions, real-time subscription storage, and vector embeddings all together, right? So all you really need in this case is to build your user interface. And when you come in here, you choose the database you want to use, set up the tables, whatever you want to do with it. And it gives you the APIs that you're going to be calling from your front end. And that is it. So you don't sit down to write the APIs yourself. And yeah, I mean, you can look into it if you are interested in that. Any other questions? Let me start answering questions and by bringing the stream to an end. We've been on for 1 hour 48 minutes. Yep. Any questions? We are definitely going to be doing more, hopefully. I don't like to promise and not deliver on. So hopefully we'll be doing more of these. But yeah, please go and play with this. I really want to see what you guys are able to come up with. Okay. So play with these tools and share with us what you are able to do. So for something like this, you could screen record yourself playing this simple game that you created. But mind you, from the beginning, I said one thing that if you do anything, you create any code and you push the code to GitHub, please own the code. So what I will encourage you to do is go into the code base, try and understand what is happening here. Okay. Here is where it has added the questions and the answers, right? So you should also be able to extend these, add more questions if you want. It gave us 5 questions, but now you can also add more questions. So if I wanted to add my own question, I'll come here and I'll add this, sorry, copy this format here and add this. This should be a unique ID. So I'll say 6 and say where did you learn about this too? Right? Then the options are the first option is on a live stream. The second option, probably I say on x.com. Then maybe the next one I say on WhatsApp. I mean, I'm just putting things there, right? But showing you, you should be able to understand the code. A friend, something like that, right? And your right answer is, in this case, because it's copying the answer, you have to make sure you copy the right word that you put in here. And now if I save this and it's re-renders, let's go back to our preview. And you see there are now 6 questions. If we did this, let me randomly select the first one. just to get there. And you see, I got 2 out of 6 correct. So you need to understand the code base that you have so that you're able to extend the functionality. Okay, so please take time, go into the code and see how these things work. All right. Any other questions? One of these days, there are tools for AI stuff, machine learning stuff that I've discovered that I'm still playing with, trying to wrap my head around. So hopefully one of these days we do those as well. But I'm
I want,
giving, yes, yes.
I want to ask him, uh, since this coding can be copied, does
Mhm.
it depend on the program you're actually using for your coding, whether it's matched with it or it works for any of them?
No, no. So this is a React code. The code base itself is React.js, right? So it's either you're using React.js, Next.js, or any other framework that has been built on top of React. So you can use it if you are not doing any of these things. Because it's using ShardCN, like the fastest way to get set up is probably to go to ShardCN and look for their docs and say, okay, how do I start? There is installation here, and you see ShardCN can work with any of these. So you could actually use it with any of these. But let's say I want Next.js. It is my personal favorite. So to start that, if I copy this, it says the initial thing is to create your project, run the init command. So I copy this. If I go into any, let me open VS Code. Uh, pull it somewhere so that I don't expose anything I'm not supposed to expose. Sorry, guys. New window. Okay. Even with this. Okay. No worries. So let's say we open a new folder in order not to, let me create a new folder right here so that I don't go. Okay. The test app. Let's call it that. And I open this in VS Code. The first thing I need to do is to, oh, so the first thing I need to do is to open my terminal. And for those of you who are used to VS Code, you know where to find it. So you could come here and click new terminal. But I know the shortcuts already, so I'll use the shortcuts. So I've opened a terminal, but ideally it's here. This is too zoomed out. So if I zoom in, you see terminal is up here. Right. And oh, zoom out, zoom in. I think I use them. So the code that we copied from shard CN here, by clicking this and choosing npm, I have npm installed on my device. So if you are totally new to this, some of these things it's difficult, like because you need to install Node. Like you need to have Node installed on your computer, and once you have Node installed on your computer, you would have npm. Then with npm, I can come and run this command. And you see, if I don't have, yes, but I haven't started Next.js project already. So ideally, it should ask me whether I want to start a new Next.js project. I hope that's what it's going to do, because otherwise, I'm wondering where he's installing it to. Because that was what the first thing I was expecting to see, unless if I miss a step, which I don't think I did. Okay. So it says the path this does not contain a package. Would you like to start? Yes. So this is what I was expecting. So ideally, I would have set up my Next.js application before I get to this step to start using ShardCN. But ShardCN is also somewhat intelligent. I mean, not like that kind of intelligence you're thinking about, but it's intelligent to know enough. It's intelligent enough to know that, oh, I'm looking for a package of JSON where I would install into, but it's not there. So do you want a new Next.js application setup? And I'll say yes by typing a Y. Then what is your project name? So let's say Quiz master. That's my project name. So now it's creating a new project for me. And you can see right here, we have a new directory called quiz master in here. Let's go back and check on both. Did it finish the thing it was doing? Okay. Start a quiz. I think both also has a terminal that we, yeah, this is the terminal. So we should be able to see what's going on here. It's running. Why is it not showing anything? Anyway, let me go back. So this is still installing Next.js. It may take a while to install these things, but when this is done installing, now I have the ShadCN installed. So if I come back here and I copy the command from VO, where is VO? VO, where are you? Here. I copy this by clicking add. So I'm not even copying this because if I copy this, then I have to go and paste it myself, right? Where I want it. But if I do this and I copy that, I could actually come in here after it's done. Oh, I want all the defaults. Don't worry about it. CSS variables. And yep. I'll just come and paste that line of code in here. Okay. So it's done installing the Next.js application. This is it. And now you can see we don't have, let's see, we don't have anything called components. There's no directory or folder here called components. If I run the code that I copied, this is what I copied from here. Okay, you may not see it because some part is hiding, but that is it. So I copied this. If I run it, it's going to add that code that we have over there into our code base. It says the path does not contain a path. Oh shit. So no, this is what just happened. It's still looking for the test app directory, but we have created a new directory called Quiz Master. So we want to go into that, right? So this is how you go into the Quiz Master directory. And now we can run this code and it would add all the various components that it used in here into a directory. So a new folder has been created here called components. And in that we have the UI and you can see it has added the button component and we have the code here. So if you're not comfortable with the design of their button and you know this is all using what is it called Tailwind CSS, so you can come in here and make changes to them, right? So you could literally edit any of the components, but this is the quiz app itself. So this is the code that we changed. You remember we added this part to it, if you can remember. So now we have the code in our own code base, and you need to understand how Next.js work if you are using it this way to be able to now show this when I run it. So for instance, let's see what's the name of this component. I wanted to close the session, but let's go in here and instead of this page, I'll probably delete all of this. Or maybe let me leave it and create a new one for you to see. Call this quiz. And in here, I'll create, and this is just, this is, what do you call it? Next.js specific stuff, right? So you just need to know. I'd say import. Let me do RFC. Then I'll call this the quiz page. Then I'll import the component name was no. The component's name that we grabbed from here from the quiz, it was quiz app component. So I'm going to import it in here. Quiz app component from that. So one of the things, maybe it's not a default export. So as I said, yeah, they didn't export it as default. So you'd have to understand some of these things for it to be easy. If it is not a default export, then I have to put it in this. And now it's underlined because it's been declared, but it's not being used, right? That's what it's saying. So here I need to use it, and I could literally just use it like this and say this should be okay. No, it should see it, but it's not seeing it. So let's, oh, okay. I don't have to use this. Let's use the alias. Still not seeing it. Cannot find model. It's going to work, but this thing sometimes doesn't see. Did it have any other? No, it doesn't have that. So let's try this. Yeah. So this is the actual thing. Okay. Now if we run this, that is npm run dev, and maybe one of these days, the next session, remind me, I'll start a whole new Next.js project and I'll explain how these things work. But I just want to show you guys what we have created. The default page will show, but our page will be on the quiz endpoint. So, hey, let me go illustrate this thing. So this is the default page, okay? But ours is on /quiz because we created a directory called quiz, and that's where we put it. So now I have the code in my own application, and this is what you are able to see. That same code that we saw, right? So this is how it works, literally. And now if I want, and I'm okay with this application I've built and I want to deploy it, Vessel, I have to push to GitHub. But if you push to GitHub, Vessel, that's the owner of VO. They are also the maintainers of Next.js. So they make hosting of Next.js application a breeze. Like it's very easy. You can see I have a couple of applications hosted on Vestel actually. So you come in here, you go to add new project, then you choose your GitHub repository, the specific repository, then you click import. Provide your environment variables if you need one, and they will be live. They will give you a URL that is live. So hopefully in our next couple of sessions, we do this from start to end where we deploy the application that we have built. Any questions? Final questions? Says, how can we import the design without the code, please? Import the design without the code. Like you want just the design, but you don't want the code. I think you would have to take screenshots as it stands now. But the other thing is that maybe I should show you that. Okay, guys, let me show you. So, oh, where's Vue? Vue, I love it for one of these reasons. So you can go to share, okay? Then you turn this into a public link, or you can even publish it, confirm publish. And it's available now here. So if I send you guys this link, let me drop it in Zoom. And you get to click on it. So click on that link. Let me open incognito to show you. So I've published that design that I did, and this is it. My app is live. That's for view. My app is live. I can go and use it, show it to people. Yeah, I built this. Right. So that's one of the things. Otherwise, you do it this way, you take your screenshots that you want, then when you are done, you can unpublish it. So you can unpublish it by clicking here. If you don't want to publish it, you could also do, when you publish it, it means that it's going into, I've not really checked their vo.build. I've not checked it out, vo.build. So maybe they have a host of all, oh, it brings me back here. Maybe they have a host of all published applications. I've really not checked that out. But if you don't want the public to see it, except you want to share it with just a few people, then you turn this public on, public with link on, then you copy the link and share it with whoever you want to see. So that's how you can use Veo to share your links. Somebody says AI tools is taking. Oh, AI tools will take over our jobs. No, that's what I'm telling you. That's the essence. You are here, so it should not take over your job. You should use these tools, right? You should be the one in control doing these things. Don't let AI take over your jobs. I keep saying that maybe in the next 10 years or 20 years, see, job requirements will say we want people with 10 years experience with this. Like the same way we say we want people with 10 years experience in Python or JavaScript, right? It's possible that in the next 10 years, they're going to be saying, oh, we want people with 5 years experience in Vue or Bolt or ChatGPT, like any of those ones. And how long have they been in existence? Like, frankly, for me, ChatGPT was released in November, I think on November 29th. I discovered it around December 6th, and I've been using it ever since. So for as long as ChatGPT has been, I have that number of experience using it. So if I was looking for a job that says that, hey, we want someone with this level of experience with ChatGPT, I qualify for it. All of these AI tools that are coming, if they turn out to be the new age that everybody, every company, every organization is looking for, you should be able to have that on your CV. Don't wait until it's too late and you say, hey, I wish I knew. Now you know. I don't want to hear I wish I knew. Okay. So AI is not taking over your job. You are going to use it as just like any other tool to do these things. And in fact, now you can end up building your own company with some of these tools. This is an eye opener. Happy to hear that. Thanks for closing the knowledge gap. Yes, that's my end goal, like, especially for Africa. This is one time in our history where we get access to information, right? Africa has always been in the dark when it comes to development. And most of the time, like technologies will come up. And by the time Africans get to hear about it, like they've already died down. It has been like that. The internet, for instance, during the time that there was the internet boom, we in Africa didn't even have electricity. Like a lot of places in Africa didn't have electricity. We didn't know what the internet was, right? I don't know when you discovered the internet, but I mean, when did I discover the internet? Oh, yeah, I remember when I was using my Sony Ericsson. I don't know how many of you used any of those kind of phones, but when I was using my Sony Ericsson, I remember we could browse Google, but it's not this user interface that you have those times. Like, but it's crazy how you have to scroll. Oh my goodness, there was this. I don't want to call it joystick, but I've forgotten how these things were. You push it up or down if you want to go up or down. Anyway, so the knowledge gap has always been a problem for us because we get the information late. But now, the very day it's like both was released 2 weeks ago or less than 2 weeks, probably, and we know about it already. So there is no single best time than now for you and I. And in 20 years' time, 30, 40 years, when we start talking to our children and our grandchildren, I don't want us to talk with regrets. Say, oh, when this thing came up, I really wish I took it serious. I thought they were just joking. Man, let's not wait for that time. Like it's now. These are toys. Play with them. Like have fun. You know? Anyway, let me rest my case here before we get into say I want a clarification. What are the most appropriate keywords to use when interacting with AI tools? Hmm. When learning and when working. I mean, nobody would be able to tell you exactly what to do. You know what you want. Like sometimes I'm just looking for speed. I just want to get this thing done. Sometimes I'm looking to understand. Right. So it depends on what you really want as an individual. My goal right now is to help use these tools to help me understand things deeper than I really know them. Like I'm asking myself a lot of questions. I'm trying to figure out how do I learn these things? Like how do I do this? How do I do that? And there are new technologies that are coming up. Like the documentation is heavy. I can't really appreciate it. I'm giving it to these tools and trying to understand. Right. So it's not a matter of what's the right keyword that I need to use, but why are you using it? And what kind of questions are you asking it? I like asking a lot of why questions. So if I open my ChatGPT right now, I know Chris is on the call. At least I share the same account with Chris, so he knows the kind of things I've been searching about. Like I'm
Oh
always
yeah,
looking
yeah,
into I'm always trying to exploit things, build things, and even these things. Like before I come to like when we start building actual projects, I'll show you my workflow. Before I come to VO, I'll probably plan the whole thing in ChatGPT, you know, before I come to VO to design. So it's a matter of what you want and where you are. Like, what exactly are you looking for? I've seen people who are, hey, you just want to get the work done, but you don't even know how you did it. So that the next time when I ask you how to do it, you still don't know. You're going back to the AI tool, and that's where the problem is. But if I use the AI to do something that I have never done before, right? And now the next time, because after doing that, I took my time to understand it and I started asking the AI questions like, why is this? Why did you write it this way? Why not that way? Did you consider this? And most of the time, like if you see my chat, most of the time the AI will say, yes, you are right. This AI gets a lot of things wrong. And anytime I poke questions, like, yes, you're right, you should have thought about this, thought about that. So I like asking a lot of why questions. And I think it's the best thing to do. Like yesterday, it was even this dawn. I published something on Facebook and I was talking about asking even the things that you yourself believe in. Like questioning yourself. A lot of us we don't question ourselves. This is a topic for another discussion, not today. Today we came to learn AI. So hey, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're just looking for speed, wanting to build something and just go make fun out there, hey, feel free. But if you really want to understand this, now you've written this code, you don't understand it. Copy this code. Go and give it to ChatGPT. Hey, I gave this to Vercel's VO to create an interface for me. It has created this, but I don't know anything about code. I want to know how I'll be able to use this thing to set it up myself. Okay, so give me a step-by-step guide. Know that I have never learned programming before. This is my first time. So teach me as if I was, say, 5 years old. Then you start from there. Then it begins to break it down for you. Okay, this doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain better? Right. So that is how you use it when you want to learn. But hey, I've kept you guys for more than 2 hours, which I don't want to go beyond. So thank you all so much for joining the session. And hopefully we set up another session for next Saturday. I would communicate on Twitter or X on X as well as in the WhatsApp group. For those of you who have signed up to the form that I shared, for those of you who have your emails there, what I'm going to do is anytime I set up this Zoom, I try my best to add you all as invite, like attendees of the event. So even if there's registration, it would be you all are allowed to go in. So this go every Saturday. Now I cannot promise. I'm looking forward to doing every Saturday, but I have a busy schedule. So it depends on how the week goes. If I don't have a lot of things to do in on Saturday, then I can squeeze it in. But before you guys go, yeah, I forgot. So Chris is a very good friend of mine here, and he's here with us. Chris, can you confirm that there's a webinar tomorrow? Is there going to be a webinar?
yes, yes,
Okay,
please.
okay.
There's going to be a webinar tomorrow.
All right, thank you. So Chris and I have been, I mean, he was the one who introduced me to WordPress. And man, my first set of money that I chopped in web design was from WordPress. And thanks to Chris, I was able to learn that. And
Thank you,
yeah,
Doc.
we got some contracts down there and we did a lot of stuff together. So I'm always excited to see him around. He's a very good friend of mine. And tomorrow he's organizing a webinar, and last week, he actually organized a webinar and taught how to build a website in less than an hour. Like that's what they literally did. I think you built a website in less than 45 minutes. I was watching and I never spoke on that call, but I was paying attention. So, and someone actually reached out and was appreciating the webinar. So I'd highly recommend it to you guys. If any of you is interested, tomorrow there is going to be a webinar on web design, and hopefully you can join in. We actually have a boot camp. The last boot camp, I taught it with Chris. This time round, I mean, he's my boss. So when he's there, when it comes to WordPress, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, when it comes to
what?
WordPress, you're my boss.
What?
So I have to give him his
Uh,
flowers. So,
with all due respect, he's rather
uh,
my boss. I'm learning from him. That's how I've joined the session.
please, please let me give him his flowers. He doesn't like that. That's why. But hey, yeah. So he's going to be running a boot camp with Franklin. I think I saw Franklin as well on the call, but I also be assisting them when I can. And it's going to be a 4 weeks WordPress bootcamp. So for those of you who are interested in that, I'll invite you to join. Maybe for those of you who signed up for today's event, I'll probably try and send you an email for the webinar they're about to do tomorrow, and probably more details about the bootcamp as well. I'll highly encourage those of you who want to learn how to build websites but do not know how to code and you don't want to get into coding much, to try WordPress. Like, it's one of the best things that happened to me. Even though I'm showing you all this coding stuff, if I open some of my accounts and show you the number of websites I manage currently, you would see that half of my portfolio, more than half of my portfolio, is built with WordPress. And that's the reality. And you know that WordPress powers about 40% of all websites on the internet. So that tells you that there's a lot to it. So yeah, that's just by the way. I'll try and send you the email and the links. I would also put it in the WhatsApp group. So for those of you who are in the WhatsApp group, expect it. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, I think the form that you used to fill, it was there. Or maybe in one of these emails, when I send it out, I would give you the link to join the WhatsApp group. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate spending this time with me. More than 2 hours, and you have been here. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you learned something from it. And I really hope that you're going to practice with it. You're going to play with these tools and build stuff. Show it to me. I mean, if you post anything on X, please feel free to tag me. I'm happy to read. I was going to say retweet it. Okay, now they say repost. Or maybe they should allow us to say re-exit. I'm going to repost it. And yeah, feel free to also tag me anywhere or share with me your thoughts, things you want to learn. Hey, I love learning with the community. I love doing this thing, and I look forward to us doing more of this almost every weekend. See you in the next one. Until then, bye. Bye-bye, everyone.